Good evening, my friend. Welcome to the show. I am Lou Mangello. Thank you so very much for joining me tonight. If you're watching live, sit back, relax, grab a snack, invite a friend. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget to join us every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here at WDWRadioLive.com. Sorry we missed last week. It was a special event in the Mangello household, but good things are worth waiting for, because we missed last week for an even better week this time. Because speaking of special events, it's a special night tonight because we have a special guest. So I'm going to give you guys a second to get in. I'm going to tell you a little quick story to set things up. And we'll get more into the story as I introduce my guest. But years ago, in all the years I've been doing this, I have been so very fortunate to make so many amazing friends and receive so much. And when I speak about gifts, I don't necessarily mean a physical gift. It's the gifts of friendship. It's the gift of love and support and all the things. And then sometimes you just get something really, really, really cool. And my guest tonight is a friend, and who's given me, honestly, one of the greatest gifts ever. And he actually has a gift for all of us who are Disney fans. So I am going to see if I can do this right and bring him in. His name is Chris Eliopoulos, and he is an artist, an illustrator, a letterer for Marvel Comics, and he is also the illustrator of a brand new book by Brad Meltzer called I Am Walt Disney. You've probably heard me talking a lot about it. Look, Chris is he's hard at work, sitting at the workstation, doing what he does best. Chris, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks. It's good to be here for once. Am I finally on? I will say this. Let's just get this out of the way. Becky.
I'm going to
Becky,
mute you.
are you happy?
Jeez Louise. How much did she... Never mind. I'm sure it was either a handsome sum or a very scary threat. One of the two.
If we didn't mention her up front, we would have both been in trouble. So
I'm sure. My phone would have started ringing. Yours would have started ringing.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure I would have text messages.
So good. You got all your Becky plugs out of the way. We're good for the rest of the show. But yeah, let's go back. Before we talk about the book, which I'm excited to chat with you about, I want to sort of set things up a little bit in terms not just of our friendship and how we connected and the thing that you did for me, but really how you start out. I introduced you as an illustrator and a letterer, and I not so subtly mentioned Marvel Comics. And we've got the Jersey connection going as well. Give me a sort of a Reader's Digest condensed version of the Chris Eliopoulos history.
Yeah, so I grew up in New Jersey, loved cartoons, obviously loved Disney. My father worked for American Airlines, so we would get free airline flights all the time. And so it's Jersey Week. While most people in Jersey went down to Florida, we would go straight out to Disneyland every year. So I spent every year as a child going to Disneyland. So my love started there. But I was always cartooning. I was like you. I was the shortest guy in the room. I was shy. I was always sort of the embarrassed guy. So I would sit and draw pictures day in and day out. It's how I communicated. I would draw pictures just to show how I was feeling. I would share them with my parents to let them know what I was thinking. And eventually I just kept doing it. And then I went to college, and I told my parents, which of course is a great thing to tell your parents as a senior in high school, I want to grow up to be a cartoonist. They did not kill me or kick me out of the house. They just said, hey, let's think of a backup career. So I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, where I got a degree in advertising and graphic design. But in my final semester, I got an internship at Marvel Comics. I had grown up reading Marvel Comics as well, and they actually hired me 2 weeks after my internship started. I started doing freelance work for them. And then when I graduated, instead of going to my graduation, I went to work at Marvel. I worked on staff for 2 years, went freelance doing lettering, which is just the word balloons you see on a page. I've been freelance for them about 30 years now.
So wait, I got to stop you for a second because this is a question
Yeah.
I always had for you. So you went to art school, you were doodling and drawing as a kid, and this is a really stupid question coming from somebody who literally has no artistic talent whatsoever. How does one become a letterer? Like what's the training that you go for? Like, I'm trying to understand, I'm sure you were used to drawing figures and you had visions of drawing Spider-Man, and you go to become a letterer, which, honestly is an art form. It's not like somebody at a keyboard typing those letters in there.
Yeah. So because I had a degree I was getting a degree in advertising graphic design, I had a lot of lettering experience. Like I was doing a lot of type design. And so when I came in for my internship, they looked at that and said, "Oh, we got to get you into lettering." And I hadn't, again, like most people, I didn't know what that was. So they had to kind of show me what it meant. I like most people, you go, "Well, isn't it just typeset? Don't you get?" Nowadays, I've created fonts, but back in the day, you would literally take a little pen and ink, and you would write out each letter. It was insanity, but basically, what it was is I entered the field and. What a lot of people don't realize is, you have aspirations for big things, but you got to start at the bottom. And so I started in the production department, and people said, if you do this lettering thing, you'll make a lot more money. And so, of course, that's the important thing, right? Make a lot of money. So I started doing that. At lunchtime, I would sit and practice, and basically it's all the words you see on a page, including the big giant sound effects. Like if you ever watched the old Batman serial, like, it'd have the big pow and blam. That was me. And so I went freelance after 2 years, and just my full-time job was sitting in my pajamas lettering comic book pages. It got to the point where I got so quick and people really wanted me that I was doing about 30 books a month.
Wow. Which,
when you think about it, is a book a day. So I was lettering about a book a day. Which is, in that day it was 22 pages. So I was cranking out the work. But, when you have a young family and, you want to pay off that mortgage, you work like a maniac. But I had the dream of going beyond that. I really wanted to be a cartoonist. And I got suckered into that whole thing of making money and forgetting your dream. And I'm sure it's your history, right? You became a lawyer, but your dream was Disney or something in that realm. And you sort of say, what am I doing with my life? I've now turned 30 years old, and great, I've got kids and I've got this career, but is it really what I want to be doing for the rest of my life?
Right.
And luckily enough, I had a friend who has his own comic book, Eric Larson, and one day he just said, "Look, you've always talking about this cartoon stuff. I'll give you 2 pages a month. Do whatever you want to do." And so I said, "Fine, great." And I started drawing. And lo and behold, I started getting better again. I got back into the swing of things and started cartooning. And I started doing some writing work and drawing work for Marvel. I did a series called Franklin Richards, Son of a Genius. And then I wrote this thing called Pet Avengers. It's amazing. It's the Avengers, but they're pets. And they battle Thanos to get the Infinity Gems. I don't know who stole that idea, but so then I went on to do another book with a friend of mine called Cowboy. And along that time, a friend of mine, Brad Meltzer, got in touch and said, "Hey, I'd like to do a series of books on historical figures as heroes, not just superheroes." And so we started doing those, and now we've done, I think Walt is 18, Marie Curie's 19, and out of this, we've got a TV show coming in November on PBS Kids. So I've grown from lettering.
Yeah, clear. All right, so it's funny how you just you throw around things like I'm working at Marvel and I'm hanging out with my friend Brad Meltzer, who I'm sure everybody knows is a fiction and a nonfiction author. A lot of people I think probably know him from it's Brad Meltzer's Lost History
Decoded.
Yeah, History Decoded on TV. Where does that friendship come from?
We laugh about this all the time because Twitter is a cesspool, right? We all know that. But sometimes it does wonderful things. He and I were sort of following each other. We knew each other from comics. And we would go back and forth about his show. We would talk about history. We both love history. And I had sent him some books of mine. I sent him the Franklin Richards stuff. And we just struck up a friendship. And we really are kindred spirits. We love history. We love comic books and superheroes and cartoons. So we were right away on the same page. And so we just kind of, and of course, the first time, like one of the first times we ever met in person was at Disney World, which is perfect, right? We met at a book signing, which was the first time I met him. And then we actually, right before the books came out, we met down at Disney World. So it's sort
he's
of like
a Disney fan, right? Doesn't he do like, I mean, does he still sort of every year, one day he'll just pick up his kids and
Yep.
we're going to Disney World?
Yep, he'll always tell me now he tells me in advance. He says, "Okay, today's the day." What he does is basically every day, the kids always wonder, but he told them one day this school year we're just going to go right to Disney World, and they never know what day it's going to be. And then one morning as they are driving to school, he'll just say, "Nope, we're going to Disney World," and they drive right by the school and they go to Disney World. And basically the thought is teaching your children, there's magic in everyday stuff. Always look for the magic. I think, which is a great Walt Disney kind of theory and thought. And so he does that. And this year, though, he didn't do it during the school year. We did it together a couple of weeks ago, actually. We went right before Galaxy's Edge opened up. Of course, he has connections to Lucasfilm. Of course, he does.
Who doesn't?
And he
really?
got got tickets for us all to go see Galaxy's Edge before it opened up to the public. So, which was great. And then, what was great was that like he had like the ultimate fast pass. All he did was show people the Lucasfilm thing, and we walked like right on the ride. We walked right into the cantina. It was just like
it's like going with Becky. It is. It really is like going with Becky. Yeah.
Yeah, you just get automatically into anywhere, and they give you everything, and they charge you 3 times as much. So, but no, he, we both have a big connection to Disney. So, right when we first started these books, we had a powwow with our publisher, like who are we going to do? Like which heroes are we going to do? And you do the obvious ones, right? You do the Lincoln, you do the Amelia Earhart, you do Martin Luther King Jr. But right there on the list was Walt Disney. Like for us, that idea of working hard, maybe failing a couple of times, but still sticking with it and getting to that success is so important. And we try to instill that with our kids. And it's so important to hear, because like we do it all the time. My son, even now, I was using the book as an example for him. He took a course. He wants to be an EMT, and he basically took the course. He passed, so he was able to be a local EMT. He had to take the national test, but when he was supposed to take it originally, we went to Disney World, so bad parents. But when he came back, he took the test, and he failed the first time. And he was really dejected, and we said, look at Disney. Like, he had failure, and he still stepped up, and he moved forward, and look where he went. So try it again. And then yesterday we got the phone call that he had passed the test, and now he's nationally certified to be an EMT. So, these books may be great for, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, but the sayings behind them and the thoughts behind them really are for every age.
Well, and I love the idea that the series is called Ordinary People Change the World, right? And so you've mentioned some of those extraordinary people who had ordinary, quote-unquote, beginnings, whether it's a Rosa Parks, Lucille Ball, Albert Einstein, George Washington. We talked earlier about Jim Henson. I love this idea of, look, we talk about superheroes, right? We look at the popularity of the MCU. We were talking before. Yeah. This really does focus on real heroes, and I love the idea of making kids understand the difference between the superhero that's on screen and the superhero that could be you or the person sitting next to you or your mom and dad or these celebrities from history.
Yeah, the whole thought is, you remember as a child, you're in kindergarten, you're going with mom to the supermarket, and you run into your teacher, and your mind is blown. Like, how does this person exist outside of the world I know? And you have to look at these historical figures and realize that they were once just scared little kids like you and me who just had the right thing at the right time and stepped up and did an amazing thing. But with it all, they're all just ordinary people. Mm-hmm. Like in the beginning, that's all they are. They weren't born to greatness. They just did an extraordinary thing at an extraordinary time. And that's why the books, they always stay kids all the way throughout, is to show you that as much as we want to build statues to them, they're also human beings. And sometimes that's even better to look at than, say, a marble statue. They had faults. Like, every one of these characters has faults. Like, everybody that we've talked about had problems. Nobody's perfect. But you know what? They did display qualities and values that we all should aspire to. And so as much as we look to the Spider-Man of the world, sometimes the more amazing heroes are the ones that lived real lives and did amazing things.
Well, so. I think Spider-Man is a perfect example, and the one that I had. The reason why I love Spider-Man is because I and so many other people can relate to Peter Parker, and your books address the missteps and the failures and the challenges that they go through, so kids understand. Yeah, Peter Parker's a fictional character, but these are real people. I mean, look, Walt Disney is a great example of somebody who overcame monumental obstacles, from his family to his upbringing to where he grew up and how much or how little he grew up with, and became, Walt Disney. And to that point, you talk about Walt Disney and all these people that in terms of them being real person, right? Being a real person. There's a story about when they were creating the American Adventure that they did, Imagineering did research and talked to college students about people like Walt Disney and other historical figures who they thought were fictional characters or brands. And that's one of the things you do, is really sort of truly humanize and tell their personal story, not their superhero origin story.
Yeah. I mean, we all look to aspire, like you always want to be that great person, right? We all dream of growing up to be the guy that, walks on the moon, but you have to also look at the person he was beforehand. Like, Neil Armstrong was just a humble guy who never said I when he was going to the moon. It was always we. And that's a quality that, sort of is like Spider-Man, right? It's like, we're in this together. It's not about me. And I think that's where a lot of our fictional heroes come from, are people like these historical figures that you look to and say, what makes them tick? What makes, a George Washington, and his life story could be very much like Spider-Man, right? He was just a humble guy that grew up with nothing. He lost his brother when he was young, who meant everything to him, and he moved on to do better because of that loss. And so, we see a lot of these echoes in our superheroes with real life characters. So it's always an interesting thing to say, what's better. I mean, look, you and me, we could sit and talk Spider-Man all night long. We could walk away and talk about, the greatness and simplicity of the idea of, with great power there must also come great responsibility. But I also want to talk about, Marie Curie, who was told over and over again, no, 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 and yet she somehow figured out a way to win, 2 Nobel Prizes. So it's amazing to me, these people. Like, the more as I do research, I always learn more. I think Walt might be the only person I didn't need to do more research on. I would actually call out things that they got wrong. No, Brad, that's not the case. It has to be like this.
Right. I was going to say, I was going to ask you, I wonder if there was anything as he was writing the book and that you look, I'm sure for Abraham Lincoln and Jackie Robinson, you probably learned things about those people that you didn't know. And I think this time you were probably the master and Brad was more of the Padawan.
Well, he is lucky enough that he gets a good group of people to back him up. So he talks to all the people. He got the Disney archivist to come in and talk to him. He got a lot of information. Who else did he talk to? Who's the guy that wrote? Is it Gabler? Is that right? Who wrote the biography?
Gabler. Yeah, Neil Gabler.
Talked to him, got a lot of the information from him. So he had a lot going in. But there was stuff where I was throwing in more of the visuals, what it looked like, and where he was at the time, and who was in the room and stuff like that. So, I'm sort of like his backup, like just in case he didn't get something right. I was there to make sure that he got it. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look through. But so speaking of which, as I look through it, I will point out, if you open up and look at the Epcot page, everybody who's playing at home has to look, right? So I will point out that our mutual friends Len Testa, Michelle Scribner-McLean, Mike Scopa.
Here, I'll see if I can pull the.
Can you get the page? Can you get it up?
Don't say her name again. You've hit your limit on how many times you can say her name.
I can't say Becky Menken?
Oh God, don't you feel dirty when you're done?
She pays me $1 every time I say her name. But if you look at see the guy in the green shirt?
Yep. And
you look right to his right, or to our right, you will see a very familiar Hidden Mickey guy in his hat, and he's got a Hidden Mickey on his shirt. So, Steve, if you're ever listening or watching, that's the first time he should ever know that he's there, but he is there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I had to throw him in there. I didn't throw you in, but I figured I gave you SpiderMan. So
yeah, you did.
I got to give one round to everybody, right? That's the move.
So I got a quick question to you. So I saw the 42 on the kid's shirt.
Right.
So is it a Jackie Robinson 42 or is it a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy 42?
So in these books, we hide lots of things. I'm very into Easter eggs. I hide lots of, as you can see, I just hid a bunch of stuff on that page. In every book, I hide Brad in the book. I hide the number 27. We hide Superman unless you're a DC lawyer, then it's not Superman. We also, I hide my twin sons, I hide in there, and then I hide Brad's children in there. And so when we did Jackie Robinson, it was for Brad's son. And so as a shout out to him in every book, I put the number 42 on his shirt.
Nice.
So that's a little shout out to him. But getting back, I forgot. The one thing I did do, if you look, I actually put Raleigh, Mary Blair, and Marty in there.
I did see them. Yeah,
that was my doing. So if you look at the first castle spread, originally it was just going to be people standing there talking, and I threw in a couple of our famous Imagineers,
I'll pull it up.
just because I felt like they needed a shout out too for all the work they did. And it was funny because everybody didn't know who they were. Like my publisher didn't know, and they're like, "Why are they there? And why do they have name tags? And why are you doing this?" And I'm like, "Just trust me on this one."
Well, and I love that you put a lot of the folks, the Pixar folks, in front of Cal Arts too.
Yeah, so that was the other thing. Brad was like, we want to do a Cal Arts page because Walt started up Cal Arts. And there are a lot of people that we know today who went to Cal Arts. And so there's a lot more people than what I have here, but there's only so many I can fit on a page. So I tried to pick out some of the more notorious ones.
I didn't know Don Cheadle went to Cal Arts.
I didn't know either until I looked it up. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, it's crazy, right? Isn't it? Like you just don't even know some of these things. But again, that's the fun of these books is like you can sort of, as the adults, when you're reading it to your little kids, you can find out these little bits that you never knew before. And like I said, you can hunt down the Easter eggs, and now you can hunt down the hidden Mickeys, which I put everywhere.
So I don't usually have a lot of time to read, but I read this book. Probably because
it's right at your reading age?
It's at my
level?
It's at my reading. I needed a couple of help. I needed some help with some of the big words. But what I really liked about this, because I read it as a parent, and I read it sort of. Look, I'm a 7-year-old kid trapped in a 51-year-old body, so this wasn't much of a stretch for me.
Agreed.
But what I liked about this was I imagined kids who were reading this, who are dreamers, who are living in sort of their own little version of and I mean this in an affectionate way, of Fantasyland. It showed that Walt was a dreamer, not just when he was drawing on the side of the barn, but he was a dreamer throughout his entire life. He was dreaming about Disneyland. He was dreaming about Snow White. He was dreaming about all these different things he wanted to do. And I think it's very empowering for a young kid who may sometimes get called out for daydreaming and being a daydreamer, or maybe sometimes even by your parents, that not only it's okay, but some famous people are successful because that's who they are and who they were.
Yeah, look, like I said, if anybody is living in the dream, it's probably you and I. Nobody in their right mind would think the two of us, when we thought up these careers, that they would even be like able to sustain us. But look at us. I mean, we sit and dream the dreams and are able to be where we are because of that. And sadly, like a lot of people don't ever take that chance. And I think that's like Walt's lesson, right? It's just take that chance, take that leap, use your creativity to make something. And you may fail the first couple of times, or things may not go right the first few times, but you can keep going. But that's the part of it, is being a dreamer. And I think that's like his big lesson is be a dreamer. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why everybody why there are so many Disney fans is because we really want that to be true. We want to see that in ourselves. So it's an amazing thing to actually bring this out to people, because I know there are so many Disney fans. Me being probably one of the most, next to you. But
well, I think as a parent who, and we were just lamenting this before we went live, as our kids are growing up, I miss being able to read to my kids. And I imagine a parent reading this book to their child, maybe, or reading it with their child, and maybe a parent learning something about Walt that they might not have understood as well, because I think there are some takeaways for adults as well, even though it's written, for and at the level of like you said, a 5 to 8 or 9 year old.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many parents have come up to me with these books and said, I didn't know this, or I just learned this. I can't believe I know. A lot of the stories we do about when these characters or these figures are young are stories that most people don't know. And so when you tell them, people are like, wait, what? Did that really happen? And it's like, yeah, like you look at the Lincoln book, when he was little, we know he's famous for freeing the slaves, right? He did this amazing thing where he looked out for people being treated poorly. But then you look back when he was 9 years old, he comes across these boys playing with turtles. At least he thinks they're playing with turtles. They're actually putting hot coals on the turtles to make them run faster, like torturing the turtles. And at 9 years old, he has to make a decision. Do I do the right thing and save these creatures and stand up to the bullies, or do I run away scared? And even at 9 years old, Lincoln stood up to these bullies and said, leave the turtles alone. And so you admire him for being president and for freeing the slaves, but every one of us can admire him and try to be like him by looking out for the little guy. Like you and me, I was the short guy. I was a junior in high school. I was 4'10". I was the short guy, and I used to get picked on all the time, and I never had that person to look out for me. I wish I had an Abraham Lincoln to look out for me. And I'm hoping these books will inspire young kids to realize that, go help the little guy. You never know who that is and how much they need you. Yeah. So, it's great that I can, now that my kids are older, I can tell stories to somebody else's little kid and let them aspire to do great things.
And there's
boy, this got deep really quick.
Yeah, right, I know.
Let's tell some jokes because Becky's getting bored over there.
There's she's on her 5th cocktail. She's fine. And it looks like there's 18 in the series.
Correct.
Am I getting
that
right?
I think Walt is 18. Is it 18? And then Marie Curie's 19. I think that's the way it goes. And then I'll let you in on a secret that next coming up will be Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, wow.
So that comes out early next year.
How long does it take to put one of these together? How long does it take to put, a book like this together?
So from inception to finish, so what happens is I'll pencil up the story. That takes about 2 or 3 weeks, and it's just rough layouts for them. I get edits back from my publisher, from Brad. We go back and forth on a few things. I then, if you can see where I'm drawing, so now I've inked it in. Those are inks. And then once I'm done with that, it takes about 2 or 3 weeks for that. and then they make corrections, changes, anything that doesn't work they want to fix, and then I go to colors, and then that takes a few weeks as well. So beginning to end, it's 2 to 3 months, but there's always little tidbits that get changed. Like I said, we work closely with Disney. We were really lucky in that once they sort of got what the book was about and what our series was about, they came on full board. They were really supportive with everything, and but they also had notes like, this doesn't work, or fix this, change this. They were, the family was involved too. They had to go through the Disney family. Right. So I feel like we did really well on this one in that we got the approval of the company and the family. So if we, got anything wrong, they fixed it, and so we're on it. But so it takes me about 2 to 3 months plus a few little nibbles here and there. The cover takes a couple days to do, and that goes back to this cover. I think I did 3 or 4 different versions of it, because we wanted to get it just right. This one was important, so that's what we do. We make sure that it's right all the way through.
Right.
So,
and knowing Walt's story a little bit more than what I got from here, it's. You didn't gloss over anything. You didn't sugarcoat things. What I really appreciate about it is I think a lot of times, especially kids, they'll hear the name Walt Disney and they will just assume that he was sort of born into it or it came easy for him. And I love them having to understand the trials and tribulations, and Walt got in trouble and he needed the help of not just his parents, but his neighbors and his uncles and his aunts, and that he wasn't able to do it alone.
And his brother. I mean, we tried to make sure that Roy was in there as well, because I think without Roy, you don't have Disney as a company. You don't have Disney as a park. I think behind every dreamer is that person who's controlling the purse strings and helping those dreams come true. So, we're all lucky. I'm not where I am without my wife. And without the support of a lot of other people, and I'm sure you feel the same way. But
I am. But don't tell her I said that in public, because
you're gonna get in trouble. Without Becky, where would we be?
Oh my God! Stop it! I need a shower after this.
It's a running joke now because I won't hear the end of it until
I know. If I wait now, she's gonna get mad that I don't have her logo up. Wait a minute here. There you go.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
So I'm watching the comments to see if so Julie Diley says, for some of your other books, did you talk to some other family members as well? So I think she's asking, about in terms of the research for not just this, but the other books as well.
Yeah, no. So, everybody that, so like the Jane Goodall book, Jane read the book and gave us notes. Billie Jean King read the book and gave us notes. Martin Luther King Jr.'s family read the book and gave us notes. We have gone to every person that we've done a book about and dealt with, either if they're alive, we've dealt with them. If they've passed, but they're fairly recent, we've talked to family members. We've talked to people that knew them. If it goes older, we always seek out the people that know the most. So like, when we do the George Washington book, I had to go talk to Pulitzer Prize winner Joseph Ellis, who is a famous historian who wrote the book on George Washington. But we've definitely done family members, like I said, with the Disney book. But I'm trying to think who else did we talk to? Let's see. Well, we talked to the Amelia Earhart estate, the Rosa Parks estate, Albert Einstein estate. Jackie Robinson's family was amazing to us. We went to, for Helen Keller, we went to the Society for Deaf People. I forget the exact name. We talked to them. Jim Henson. We had the family. Like literally, Jim's daughter helped us on release day. She came out to the event. They loved the book so much. We were able to get Gandhi's organization that still survives today. I mean, we really went to everybody we could. We sent our book to Sonia Sotomayor's office, and they went through it. So we really, our biggest goal is to make sure that we get everything right. Mm-hmm. And I don't want anybody to come back to us and say you got this wrong. We may omit some things because time and space, and we're trying to build a narrative. But for the most part, whatever we don't put in isn't because we don't want to put it in. It's probably just because of narrative. But we try to get everything that's in correct.
And I have to imagine it's both a blessing and a bit of a curse having so many historical figures to choose from, because it's how do you choose, and then really how do you choose? Like, how do you go through the process of who is next?
Right.
Make sure trying to ensure there's representations and diversity. I'm sure people make suggestions. Stan Lee
everywhere.
I'm sure I'm not the only person that would love to see a Stan Lee book and his story. Again, a guy who came from, not a lot and took a chance, and here we are today.
Yeah, no, I can't tell you how every time we come out with a new book, there's somebody that's asking for somebody else. And yes, Stan is on the list, but what it comes down to is, look at it this way. Think of it as like a brackets. You're going to say, okay, we've got Ben Franklin and we've got Mother Teresa.
Right.
Who wins? Right? And you want to get those immortal figures, the people that there's no question are going to be heroic, and the people that everybody knows, but you also want to get diversity, like we want to get race, we want to get gender, we want to get sexual orientation. Like, we're not going to shy away from anything, because we have heroes of all types, and I think the joy of these books is the diversity of it. So we sit down, Brad, our publisher, and I will sit together and discuss who we want and who's coming up next and what's important. And you never know the way history kind of plays into things and what our choices make. So in 2016, during the election, things got very heated. And we started to see a lot of division and anger. And right at that time, we had just come out with George Washington, and the sales for George Washington and Martin Luther King Jr. shot up. Like, it sold out at Amazon. And what it really said to us, it was just perfect timing. And what it said to us is that people weren't – I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat. It just says we're starving for leadership. Mm-hmm. And that was the moment that hit. Just happened to be that way. At that time, we were also working on the Gandhi book, which, the vitriol started to hit so much in the country. We put out a book that says peace and love. And I think that's what we want to say with these books, is always about the positive. Let's look at the positive and let's better ourselves. And so that plays into it. Like, which story is going to make us better, and which story and which figure is going to teach our children these values that will make us better as a country and hopefully a world as we start to sell these books overseas. So maybe they'll sell this book in Shanghai Disney. Like, it would be a joy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And so I'm reading comments from the people who are in there. Some people are. David Potts wants to pre-order the box set of the adult version of these books. Terry Gav says, after you do the Leonardo book, are you going to do the other Ninja Turtles? The other Ninja Turtles too.
Yes, exactly. Donatello's the first.
They're saying that they plan on getting these books, even though they don't have kids, and I think that speaks volumes, Chris, about the quality of the work that you're doing, the interest of the people who want to hear not just Walt's story, but the other stories as well, in such an easy to read, accessible kind of way, and one that they can share with younger people in their family or their kids or nieces and nephews.
Yeah. These, like we said, these books make great books for your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, your kids. But I've seen older kids reading these books, and like I said, adults will look at them too. I mean, I hide so many things in there. It's like a Looney Tunes cartoon. You can watch them 50 times and then start to get the jokes as you get older. You can sort of get the inside jokes for the parents. But we also have like timelines at the end of the book. So we also point out that these are real people. and gives us sort of a timeline of their lives and what accomplishments they had. So if you look, right, I see you're looking at Walt Disney's, right? And we put pictures in there of the real, because we want the kids to know that these are real people. I tried like heck to get the famous picture of Walt walking through the castle, and for some reason nobody wanted to put. They kept pulling it out. I kept putting it back in. They kept pulling it out. But I think they just wanted to get a certain different kind of set of pictures that showcase different parts of his life. Right. So, but we'll leave that one for the sequel.
I'm sorry, Kelly Freeman says, I want to get a set for my special education resource classes. So she actually brought up a thing. I can imagine teachers wanting to even maybe incorporate books like these into their classes, again, to make, not obviously Walt Disney, but some other topics and subjects and people more interesting because of the way it's presented.
Yeah, so one of the things that hit us by surprise was the Albert Einstein book. A lot of these books get shared in class. It's great for Common Core, and it's great for, teaching young kids to read and then, sort of share. But we were doing Albert Einstein, and we were sending it out. The book had come out, and I was doing a signing somewhere, and this woman came up to me and asked me to sign the Albert Einstein book, and I wrote in it, "Be weird," because one of the things about the book is asking questions, but also being different and thinking differently. And it doesn't mean it's bad; it's just awesome. You can be different, and it's amazing. And so I wrote "Be weird" in her book, and as I finished signing it, I started to hand it to her, and she was sobbing, she was crying, and I got taken aback. I was like, "Oh God, what did I do wrong? Like, did I write something inappropriate or something?" And she kind of said, no, I'm sort of on the spectrum. My son is autistic. And this book has meant so much to us that says it's okay to be different. And it's okay to see yourself as something special, even though you don't think the way that other people think. So we realized at that moment, these books are also learning tools for teachers and other children about other children. And sort of to say, you know what, look out for these people. It's okay to be different. So, yeah, it's been a joy to find so many teachers wanting to use these. My son's second grade teachers have reached out and asked me to give them copies for their classrooms. I mean, these are people my kids had, 13 years ago. It's been it's been that long, and they just want these books to share with their students. So it's been fun. So that's another thing. If you ever want to buy books for your students or your kids' classes, they make a great addition. So as I sell books, sell, right?
Aaron Morgan.
I'm at the Lou Mangello School of Podcasting.
Aaron Morgan says, and I'm sure you know this, maybe don't. She says, Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor did an event with me and my organization, and your book is the only biography that she will sign.
Really? I didn't know that. I have not met her yet. I'm hoping to somehow get a connection and meet with her. I've been lucky enough. I got a signed book from Jane Goodall. It's weird. I got Billie Jean King following me on Twitter and Instagram, which is that'll throw you for a loop. You instantly tweet, like, think twice before you tweet when you know that's going on.
Right.
But yeah, I would love to. She just actually came out with a book of her own. That's actually number one on the New York Times bestseller list this week. She beat us this week. She beat Walt. So if anybody's going to beat Walt, I would think it'd be a Supreme Court justice. So
Erin says she considered it so reputable, which is why it's the only one that she will sign.
That's awesome. We were worried when we came out with the book. She was coming out with her own book, another book at the time, and we were supposed to actually come out with the book, but she wanted to have her book come first, and of course you always do what the Supreme Court justice tells you to do. So we actually pushed our book back in respect to her. So I hope that went a long way to prove our love for her. I like when I researched her, like, I gotta tell you, I love my wife to death. There's nobody I love more in this world. But when you read about Sonia Sotomayor, you fall in love with her. She's an amazing human being. I think I fall in love with everybody that we do, but she's just absolutely an amazing human being. So I would suggest reading that one too.
Is there somebody on the Chris Eliopoulos personal wish list that you would love to do or do next?
There's one that I've been asking for. We haven't agreed to do it yet for the books, but he's going to be on the TV show, and that's Nikola Tesla.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's an amazing guy. He doesn't get the accolades that he should be getting. Like if you use a remote control or you change your TV with a remote, you owe it to him. Anything you plug into the house is due to him. I know Edison gets a lot of the credit, but he's actually the guy who did amazing things. And plus, I drive a Tesla, so I have to have the car reference in there. But yeah, he's one. Do you have any suggestions? Who do you think I should do?
I mean, Stan Lee was the first one that came to mind. Tesla is one I would love to. I recently watched a documentary on science or history or one of the things. I was fascinated by what I learned. People in the box too are saying they would love to see Tesla, so I'm looking to see if they have other suggestions.
I will tell you. So for our TV show, which begins November 11th. God, am I plugging like crazy?
It was my next question was to tell me about the TV show.
Okay, so the TV show starts November 11th on PBS Kids, and basically I'm executive producing along with Brad, and the look is exactly like the book. So basically when we came to PBS and presented this, they said the only thing that we want besides what you're doing, however this show turns into, we want it to look like Chris's artwork. So I've been heavily involved in the look of this thing, so it actually looks like my character. So if you see Leonardo da Vinci in the book, he looks exactly the same on the TV show.
So is it like an animated? Is it an animated?
It's fully animated.
Okay.
It's three kids: Xavier, Yadina, and Brad. Of course, it has to be Brad. They live in a museum that their parents run, and they go whenever they have a problem, like say they're being bullied. They go down to a secret museum below the regular museum. It's a museum that's curated by this little robot called Burby, who will present them with an artifact, and it'll send them back in time to meet this historical figure. And then, so in this case, say maybe they meet Rosa Parks, and they talk about how, she gets bullied as a little kid, and then she's bullied on a bus, and how she stood up to the bullies. And they learn that lesson, and they come back forward in time, and they solve their problems using the lessons from these historical figures. So every episode is a new historical figure. They're all based on our books. Some we haven't even done yet, so I've been designing those. So the first season, it's 72 heroes.
Wow.
So we've been really doing a lot. So a lot of the ones that you're hoping for, you might see on this show. So who are you thinking of? Who else are we thinking of? So Nikola Tesla is going to be in it. I already got him.
A couple of people said they would love to see a Roy book because I think they agree with you in terms of the importance of Roy, and sometimes it's lost in talking about Walt.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that he was in this book at least.
I'm catching up on.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And I'm pulling up your drawing pad. So tell us what you're doing here and who you're drawing. And
it's your favorite character. The one that makes you cry.
All right, so tell the story, man, because somebody asked before what I was alluding to when I was talking about and I literally remember, and I'll fill in the gaps after you tell the story, but tell them what we're talking about.
So a number of years ago, I was lettering The Amazing Spider-Man, and I was talking to, guess who, Becky Menken, who had mentioned that you were a huge fan of Spider-Man. I didn't realize how huge, but I said, "Oh man, I'll sneak him into a book." And she's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Dude, like I work on the books. Like who else?" So I actually talked to the writer. I just said, "Hey, do you mind? There's a scene here where a bunch of reporters are asking questions. Do you mind if I throw this line in?" And he's a friend of mine, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, of course." So I snuck in the line, which is like, I am Lou Mangello from WDW Radio, and it went through, and then I got in trouble for it. So
did you really?
Well, some people were like some people, I don't know, honestly, I don't know who it was, but people were like bashing me, saying that like you had gotten an in with the Disney company, and then we felt like we needed to do this for you. which I found hysterical because it was just me being a dork.
Right.
Like, it was nothing to do with Disney. It had nothing to do with Marvel. It was like me sneak. I do it all the time. You see in these books, I sneak people in all the time.
Right.
I even sneak Becky Menken in, and sorry, now it's a running joke. I have to do it over and over again. What I should have said in the beginning is every time I say her name, people have to drink. Then we'd really have a fun game.
Oh, my God, forget it. I would not be responsible because you said it like 1,400 times
I
in
know.
like a 30-second period.
I know.
Becky,
but,
I'm not kidding. Like, that's the first thing he went, Becky Menken, Becky.
I know. But so, and then then it got printed. I don't. You have to tell me the rest because I don't know when you found out. I don't know how you found out. I sort of know your reaction, but
so somebody sent me what looked like and I have the image up of the cover and the panel. I got an email from somebody saying, "Dude, you're in the latest comic book of Spider-Man, like issue number 700." And I saw it and I was like, "Oh my God." And then I'm like, wait a minute, it must be some sort of online thing where they can generate, they can put anybody's name into a comic book or things like that. And then I got another one and another one and another one. Like, wait a minute. And then somebody actually sent me a picture of the comic book itself, not the digital version. And I'm like, what the hell? What happened? And I don't remember. I remember I called you or you called me back. I was at Fort Wilderness. I was at Fort Wilderness eating. Tell me what part of that is surprising to you.
The fact that you weren't getting sushi.
Yeah, that probably is it. And you're right. And dude, I will tell you, and I cried when I saw it and I realized it. And I cried when I talked to you on the phone.
Yes, you did.
Because it literally, and I'm going
to. Don't do it now.
So
well, Deanna was like, even Deanna was just like, oh my God, it's, this is like the most amazing thing. I didn't realize, like I said, everybody get a drink. Because Becky was like, this meant a lot to him. And I was like really? It was just kind of a throwaway thing. And I didn't realize that. And that's when I learned that Spider-Man was that important to you. So,
well, because it's one thing to look. I've been blessed to meet some amazing people like Becky Menken from I Meltzer and Travel, and
drink,
interview people, and have all these and make incredible friendships, and I said receive all these wonderful gifts, but and I know maybe it doesn't sound like a big deal, but sort of to have your name in something that had meant so much to me since I was a little kid, that's there forever, and issue number, like it was issue number 700. I literally went to the comic book store and I have like 7 copies of it, like
there you go.
in their acid-free bags. And I will tell you, and I don't know if he wants me to give his last name, but to make a great gift even better, a friend of mine that I met from the show in Canada knew what a big deal this was for me, knew that Stan Lee was going to be at a convention, bought a copy of the book. So stupid. He drove like 5 hours and stood online for like 7 more. And I have a framed copy of a variant cover with Doc Ock of Spider-Man 700, which Stan... Dude, I usually don't care about signatures and autographs. Like, things don't mean a lot to me. Like... to use the God forbid there's a fire, which the one thing you grab from your office, it's probably going to be that.
You leave the kids behind, you take the comic.
Yeah, the kids will be fine. The kids, the cats, right. I'll take the comic and my chair and
leave the gun.
There's a lot of things I would.
Book.
I get emotional because it means something to me. Like the fact that you did that for me.
Well, it's like I grew up on these comic books and I appreciate it. And, the first time my name was in the comic book was like an amazing thing. Like, to this day, I still pinch myself and say I have history with Spider-Man. Like, I worked on the 30th anniversary of Amazing Spider-Man, and I worked on the 50th anniversary issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Like, I'm a part of history in terms of comic books. Like, there's moments in my career where I just have to stop and go, oh, my God. Like I even think in that issue, I drew a story in it as well. I think it was that issue. I can't remember. It might've been the next issue. It might've been the number, like they kind of went back and renumbered things again. But to say that I actually drew Spider-Man in an Amazing Spider-Man comic is like, you're feeling like, oh my God, this is not reality. It shouldn't be this way. I've worked with Stan a couple of times. Like we've had conversations, and like you just go like, that's not a possibility in any sense, right? Like that's not a reality that we're used to. So I totally understand the emotional reaction to this. Like, meeting, your hero or being a part, technically you met your hero, right? I mean, in the book, your Lou Mangello character met Peter Parker, so you're there.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing thing, and it's fun. And for me, it was like a silly little thing, but the fact that it touched you so much is like amazing to me. So you'll have to buy Becky drinks for like the rest of your life.
I already am.
I know, right?
All right, so enough of the emotional outbursts on my part. Some additional. I went back and some other suggestions.
Yeah,
people made were Chuck Yeager, Jackie Robinson.
We did.
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron's great too.
Winston Churchill.
He'll be in the TV show.
Queen Elizabeth I.
We did. Who was the Queen of? Who's the Russian
Queen of Hearts? Is Becky Mencken. That's right.
Off with their heads.
I'm so happy you said that. Charles Darwin.
Darwin's good too.
William Shakespeare.
God, these are good.
George Lucas.
Yeah. No, we actually because when we talked about Disney, I was talking about Lucas too. The hard part was when we do living people, I will say.
Yeah.
It's a little touch and go. In Brad's first book, he did a book called Heroes for My Son. He initially had Lance Armstrong in the book. And at the last minute, he pulled him. And then like right after, they discovered that he was doping. So you have to be very careful with anybody that's alive. I mean, I figure Sonia Sotomayor, Jane Goodall, Billie Jean King, I'm not too worried that we're going to discover anything that hasn't already been discovered. But I like some of these. These are actually
Steven
really
Spielberg.
Good. Right. Look, these are my heroes. Lucas and Spielberg are like my heroes growing up. If I were to meet them, I'd probably be crying like you. I'd be blubbering like you.
Ron Schneider, who was he was the dream finder in Journey into Imagination, says Charlie Chaplin.
Right.
Roger
Chaplin is in the TV show.
Okay. Roger Bannister. I don't know who that is.
Roger Bannister.
Anne Frank.
I'm not going to say anything right now.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs is another one I've talked about. He's hard too because as the amazing things he did, I worry that he was not a very nice person, at least according to his biography.
Well, and look, I mean, I'm sure you will find people, and
there are
who will say that about Walt, and sometimes some of the greatest leaders are some of the toughest ones as well too.
Yeah. You always have to put, like I said, but that, and I guess that's the big thing is you have to weigh the really, their positives versus their negatives. And at some point there's a tipping line where you say, it's sort of like, it when you see it. Jobs is on the list. I just worry that, there was a lot of, I mean, everything in my house is Apple. So, I mean,
John Williams, Betty White.
Betty White. Wow.
Marie Curie.
She's out this week too.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen appears in the Billie Jean King book. If you look in the back of the book, she's actually there.
Lady Diana.
That one's a good one too.
Lewis and Clark.
We did Sacagawea, and they appear there.
Okay. Harriet Tubman.
We did her book.
RBG. I don't know who or what that is.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to do her. I would love to do a book on her. Wow. Drink, everybody.
Roberto Clemente.
Another hero. He's
Arnold
one of mine.
Palmer. I think they mean the golfer, not the
not the drink.
tea, right? Jim Henson, you've done already.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy's in the TV show.
William Wilberforce. That sounds like a fake superhero name.
I know, that's like Peter Parker or Bruce Banner. It's like you'd have double W.
Will Rogers.
Like him. Wow, these are some new ones. I have not heard these names before. Your audience is really well versed.
Yeah, super.
Well, because like a lot of people go through the sort of the very basics, but people always have their own little personal ones. But these are actually really, really good ones. You'll have to send me over the list again.
Franklin Roosevelt, Cartman.
We're doing Eleanor Roosevelt in the TV show.
Cartman, I guess from South Park.
Wow. They killed Kenny.
John Philip Sousa.
Interesting.
Let me see. Let me go back.
A lot of it too is like sort of like we have to discover what's the saying. Like if you look at it on every book, there's a saying on the back. So like if you look in Walt Disney, it says, "I know that the person who makes dreams come true is you." It's sort of like each book has a theme. Mm-hmm. I'd have to learn more about John Philip Sousa to know what his value.
Here's a couple more. So William Wilberforce was responsible for putting an end to the slave trade in Great Britain.
Nice.
Kelly Fennell says Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Heather Demmett, Gene Roddenberry.
Interesting.
Oh,
yeah,
I like that. Eleanor Roosevelt, I think you said is right. You did
Eleanor Roosevelt. Yeah. Look, if there's a second season, we're going to have to get like, we got Becky in there? Okay.
She says Rick and Morty. That's Becky's contribution is Rick and Morty.
Morty.
Nelson Mandela from Martin Shergold says True. Nelson Mandela.
Oh, that's another good one. He's actually in the TV show.
Wow. I think another Neil Armstrong. Yeah, there's some great. I mean, as they start saying these, like, these are great.
Well, that's the thing, right? We'll never run out of heroes. Like, our goal is to do 100 or more books. We want to build a library for every parent with different values and different characters for them to look up to and admire. Right. Like I said, we're only on 18, so we got a ways to go.
Stephen Hawking, another Stephen Hawking.
Another great one, right. Yeah. I mean, well, if we do a season 2, you guys are going to be like our suggestion box. Suggestion box people.
Right. Well, and that's great because you can sort of, crowdsource some suggestions that you guys might not have thought about before.
I love that we can sort of get some outside some voices to give us some suggestions because, a lot of it also is, with the TV show especially, it's you have to get permissions from people and you have to get, the rights and stuff. But that's great stuff. Yeah, but Muhammad Ali. Enough about that.
There's a lot. I mean, they're continuing to come in fast and furious. So
the big question is, did you enjoy Galaxy's Edge? I didn't hear your take on it.
I did. I've said, ad nauseum. What I love most about Galaxy's Edge is Galaxy's Edge. I think Black Spire Outpost, the environment, is the star. I think it is like everything Disney does. It is rooted in exceptional storytelling, and not just the big set pieces, but the minutia and the detail, and the fact that cast members are empowered to create and share their own stories as well. I think it very much, as long as we're talking about Walt Disney, I think it's in the vein of what Walt would have wanted, which is truly immersive, interactive storytelling happening in 360 degrees with all 5 senses. And I don't know how much you know about Rise of the Resistance, but from what little I have seen, it's going to be a game changer in terms of attractions and storytelling. I'm
hoping. I was lucky enough that I had to go out to L.A. God, do I sound like so pretentious? I had to go out to L.A. for
on your jet. You went out on your jet to L.A.
I went on my private Lear jet
from Teterboro
to God, what a Jersey reference. We had to do promotions for the show, and my agent, I will say she rivals me in her love for Disney, but she loves Disneyland. Like, she goes to World, but she loves Disneyland. And we've always been talking about, like, this is my life. Who cares about book deals? Who cares about TV shows? It's all about the Disney, right? So I say to her, they say, Chris, we need you to go to LA for a couple of days to do promotion. I tell her, I send her a text message. I go, they're sending me out to LA for 2 days. Disneyland ? Half hour later, she's like, I booked my hotel. Let's go. So she booked her hotel. we went for a couple of days. We went out there, so I was able to go see Galaxy's Edge there. And then 2 weeks after that, I had my family vacation, and we got into the one in Florida. So not many people can say they've seen both within a 2-week period. But what was fun is that they're identical, right? They're virtually identical. And I had Brad with me and his family, and I kept pointing like, "Up there's the Dianoga over there," and look over here. The interesting thing though is like you saw, at least I learned at the Disneyland one, is those touch pads, like they have some kind of thing that you work with your app that I don't think was up and running yet at Disney World.
It is, yeah. The Play Disney Parks app has an overlay inside Galaxy's Edge, which is remarkable and is very, very. It really gives you multiple layers and depth of storytelling, and what I like about it, Chris, too, is you have as much or as little control of the story as you want. So if you want to sort of, dig in deep and do all the little side missions and meet characters and get your droid and unlock data pads, you can do it. Or you can just go and enjoy the ride and 5 or 6 Ronto roasters.
Or drink some blue milk. And
did you try the blue and the green?
So here's the thing. I don't know about you. So the difference is I tried the blue milk in California at the stand outside when it was really hot. And I will say it was great. I loved it. In Florida, I tried it at the cantina and it tasted different. And I don't think I liked it as much. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I don't know if it's any different. I don't know if there was just the heat versus not being in the heat that affected it. I don't know. But I it's funny because you think you're out in the heat. You don't want to drink like a milk product because you just assume it's going to be milk.
Right.
But I mean, it's like almond milk, right?
It's like plant-based milk, whatever that is.
Right. But it was like a slushy. It wasn't really.
Yeah.
It wasn't that crazy. So my agent was not going to try it, and then finally, like I bought her one. I forced it on her, and she was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty good."
Yeah. The green milk, it's not.
Not so good.
Nah, not for me. It's supposed to be more citrusy. I think that they have tweaked the recipe a little bit. It's meh at best. But different strokes for different folks, man. For somebody, the green milk, that's their favorite thing in the whole wide world. So,
no, it's it's an amazing place, and the Falcon ride is kind of cool, but it throws me for a loop because you're constantly looking up and back, up and back, up and back. A couple of people on our ride got motion sickness from doing that. I'm sure some people will want to avoid that.
Were you a right side pilot? Did you get to be a right side pilot and pull the lever? And
I was on my first flight in California. I was the left pilot, so I steered left and right. And then the second time when I was in Florida, I was a gunner. Okay. I let my kids fly the Falcon because, that's what you do, right?
Is that what you're supposed to do? Sorry about that. My bad. Yeah. We'll go again.
The good parents, Lou. The good parents. But yeah, I mean, it's that's the funny part, right? Like, I mean, I know I'm speaking to the choir. I'm singing to the choir here, but like, it's Disney has been my life, and like I said, I started off at Disneyland. We do Disney World 2 to 3 times a year, like, 'cause especially with the runs now, which is always great to see your wife there, but you're never there. Just saying.
I'm there cheering. I'm there to help get you along and get Becky her cocktails.
I did give you a big sweaty hug once just to earn some money for a charity, thanks to Becky Drink. But yeah, so we do that a lot. My friend is still trying to talk me into I got him into the Disney races, and literally like right before we went on, he sent me a message. You sure you don't want to do the Dopey this year? Like, dude, I have too much going on. I'm like, I don't have time to train.
That's why I don't do it, Chris. I got too much going on.
Exactly
I don't have time for running and training and all that.
I know. It's sad. I feel bad for you because I know how much you love the running.
I do. This is a body built for running. So.
Well, I am going to be doing the Star Wars half in April. So I'm going to do the Kessel run this time.
Nice.
So I'm going to run 13 at home, and then I'll run 13 down there and do the 10. So I'm sure. Like, does Deanna do like every single race now?
Yes. I mean, yes.
How is
yes,
that?
She does. Yes. And I'm incredibly proud of. Yes, she does every. Yes. God bless her. So.
Hey, look, you know what? I wish
Colin
I could.
Kendall says, I don't have time for running, but he's got plenty of time for the buffet, though. Go figure. Only time for sushi. Oh, here come the comments.
You run to the
about my
buffet.
weight. I do. That's the
to
only
the buffet.
one. I will knock you down if you're in my way, just so you know. Japan, get ready. I'm coming for you. I am bringing my appetite, and I get to spend 2 weeks with Becky Mankin in Japan.
Drink.
So.
Yeah, it's I'm excited to I guess I'm trying to prove my Disney. I mean, I'm sure if anybody, because I used to go on to WDW Today all the time, and then I had my own podcast with Michelle and Mike, Mickey Miles and more. So some people may know that I am a Disney fan, but yeah, I was actually so every time we go down there, I always stay at the Yacht Club because we love the proximity to Epcot. That's like my park. And so it's going to be interesting to see all the changes that are coming. I'm kind of excited and nervous. You know, like you get excited because it sounds so great, but then you're nervous. You're like, oh, am I going to lose my old park? But I guess that's the point of Disney, right? I mean, that's again, he says in the book, it's always changing.
Right. Walt never wanted it to be a museum, and I think that I think they're smart enough to know, and I think past performance shows that Disney pays attention to not just the future, but the sense of nostalgia that we all have. So I think they're going to adhere to what their promise for Epcot is going to be. So
yeah.
But Chris, if people want to find out more about you, where can they go?
God,
other than to your house, other than be giving them your address.
Twitter is great. It's weird. I have a website, chriseliopoulos.com. I barely post anything. I just randomly will throw stuff up there. But Twitter, Chris Eliopoulos, or Facebook, Chris Eliopoulos, or Instagram, Chris Eliopoulos. Anytime you want to know what's going on, it's usually on there. And then where else? And I guess you'll see me on TV soon. So.
And when does that start?
November 11th. It'll run every single day on PBS Kids.
Awesome. As we get closer, we'll keep in touch, and we will make sure we get the word out.
Yeah. And I will say that we just heard, thanks to all of us Disney fans, that this book, Walt Disney, is number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list this week.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Good
so we did So the Disney fans came out in droves for us this week.
Listen, it's a beautiful book. I love the mission and the message of not just this one, but the entire series of what you and Brad are doing. And I look forward to seeing what else is going to be coming in the future in terms of future titles as well.
Thanks, pal. We'll have to catch up in the parks at some point.
Yeah, man. Let me know when you're coming down. We could talk about Becky.
Drink.
How much fun will we have talking about Becky?
Just you and I. Let's see. Let's see how much we can talk about her. Until she loses her ever-loving mind.
I have stories. I've got photos. We can take selfies together and really just make her crazy.
We're making her crazy right now. You know that, right? Is she like in the chat, like losing her ever-loving mind?
My texts are going to start coming through any second. So.
I've been getting them through as we've been talking. She's giving me grief already. So
that's awesome.
I guess you and I are very much like short New Jersey guys who get pestered by Becky for not doing the right thing.
Exactly. So
if I go to eat sushi, like I got the trifecta, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to show your drawing board one more time. But this has been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you so much, brother. Not just because of SpiderMan, not just because of I Am Walt Disney, but you are a good man doing good things. Listen, I think you are an ordinary person that's changing the world, doing what you love, and like I said, a good people doing good things for other people. So I love it, man. I appreciate it,
brother. Thanks, awesome. Man.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much. We'll keep in touch. Chris Eliopoulos, ladies and gentlemen, appearing on PBS Kids near you, November 11th. And go pick up your copy of I Am Walt Disney on Amazon.com. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thanks again, man.
Talk to you soon.
You got it.
Later.
You got it. Bye-bye. Bye. Now I have to figure out how to hang this up. Did that do it? Wait, nope. There you go. I dig that guy a lot. And if you Like I said, and I know a number of you said it, even if you don't have kids, I think it's a neat book to add to your collection. Obviously, it's a fun little read. I think, Becky, I think you could actually get most of the words in here with not too much trouble. Some of the history of Walt and Epcot might be a little confusing to you, but I can help you with I can fill in any gaps that you might need. So I appreciate Chris coming on to chat, and he made me cry. So there you go. That's podcast gold right there. So if you need help spelling Chris Eliopoulos, good luck, because I have no idea. It's Eliopoulos or something like that. Just Google it. I am Walt Disney, Chris Eliopoulos. I think it's Greek. I'm guessing. I'm not sure. I think it's Greek. So there you go. Even Julie Diley says, I don't have kids and I want to get it too. William Krupczynski, thanks very much. Tim Brown, Wendy, Faye, Bill, all you guys, thank you so much. Becky says, remember. So when Becky says, remember, we're spending lots of time together soon, that's a lot more of a warning than it is anything else. That's like, Mangello, shut your mouth, move on. Point well taken. Mouse Fan Travel, ladies and gentlemen, for all your, vacation planning needs. So there you go. That's, I'm happy to have been able to bring Chris on tonight. Super nice guy and remarkably talented. And, that's sort of the perfect combination there. I want to thank all of you, by the way, who have been liking and commenting and sharing about this week's episode. Again, a lot of fun to research and record for your benefit. We spent I can't even spend the day. We did a lot. And by doing a lot, I mean, we ate a lot in a short amount of time. And it started off thinking that we were going to do 10 things. We're going to limit it to 10 things you need to eat, drink, and do at this year's Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. Hi, I'm Lou. 10 never means 10. What we did was we talked about some of what we thought were must-dos, and then we sort of went through some items that we think other people should try, and we tried them live and went to some of our favorites. Please make sure you tune in for the Battle of India. And I will just let you figure out exactly what that is. It's podcast gold. It's just podcast gold. India was the site of much controversy and much debate, and it was very interesting. But there were some favorites. There were some new ones that made it onto the Lou Mangello list. I have my own little award show ceremony for ones that I think are deserving of certain awards. Jared McCarty, I love me some Skyline chili, by the way. And I'm starving, just so you know. So, Indianapolis, I'm coming for you this weekend. Oh, speaking of which, I don't have the graphic up. Wait a minute. This weekend, I am going to be I'm talking slowly because I'm trying to find the link for the Indy Disney meet. There it is. Whoops. So many graphics all at the same time. This Saturday, I'm going to be in Noblesville, I get it wrong all the time. Noblesville. It's Noblesville, Indiana, with the aforementioned Becky Mankin from the I Am Mouse Fan Travel, for really a super fun fan event. But wait, so I'm so easily distracted because I was thinking about Indianapolis and food and the fact that there's a White Castle right across the street and that I might have to go to White Castle unless somebody wants to bring a crave case we could all share together. Yay! But it's so much fun, and Becky would have skipped it. Becky, don't be so sure because they have a bread service. Now, mind you, you have to actually walk up to and this is why, Becky, you would have hated it. You would have hated the day because it was 99 degrees, 400%. Look, I'm all like sunburned. The heat was incredible. It was redonkulously humid, and you had to walk and go up and purchase food in the sun on garbage cans. But we had a lot of fun, and this is part of the fun of doing all these things. And I want to quickly thank the folks that joined me. And, oh, by the way, so I was joined by Jason, who is new to the show, and Kenneth, who has been on the Moving to Disney show, the Polite Pig show, and Lisa Donato Glassner, who's been also on the Moving and the Polite Pig and a couple other shows as well. And just because I continue with the idea of good people doing good things tonight, like 30 minutes before the show launched, Jason actually launched, and I think I hinted to this a while ago in terms of people creating cool, unique Disney content. Jason literally just launched tonight herewiththemagic.com. It's a way to really kind of be connected to the parks between your trips. It's a great, what I dig about this is it's a great way to experience not ride-throughs and attractions and things like that. It more is about it's what do you say, Jason? It's more chill, less thrill, and it's the side of Disney that a lot of people overlook. It's not just parades and it's attractions, and he's got some amazing quality of video that you can do using VR technology. There's 180, 360. You can use Google Cardboard. You can use Oculus. You can use PlayStation View. He's launching tonight, I think, with more than an hour's worth of content. You can go to facebook.com/herewiththemagic or herewiththemagic.com, and he's on the Instagram and the YouTube. So go check it out. He is good people doing good things as well. And Lisa is over at the Castle Run. Whoops, two graphics up at the same time. Nope. There you go. Lisa's over at thecastlerun.com, and she is also on, she's on Instagram as the Castle Runner. It's thecastlerun.com or it's Castle Run, and she has a Facebook community as well. It's the Castle Run community. She's got a TeePublic shop, and it's more than just Disney. It's about being a mom and that crazy thing that you people do called running and experiencing Disney a different way. And oh, by the way, she likes food as well. It's really the only reason why we are friends. And Kenneth is just Kenneth. He's KN Johnson 67 on Facebook. He has a real job. So unlike all of us, but it was a blast getting to record with them. We certainly want to hear from you in terms of what your must do at the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. And dare I say, if I missed something along the way, tell me. I'll go back and do it again. I will check it out for you to make sure that I am a completist. And don't listen, the festival goes on for a long, long time, including during Momentum, by the way, which is just over a week away. Insert shaky hand panic attack right now. But we might even be able to hit food and wine. And then we have our Epcot Forever dessert party on October 1st. I know a lot of you guys are going to be there as well. Again, thanks to MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, who make events like that possible. And there may be some surprises that evening as well. You never know. Lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff. And then we've got Japan. And then I got London. And we're going to do a meetup or meetups with Meet, MEAT and MEET in London. And then where am I going? I'm going somewhere else. I can't say where I'm going yet. And then I'm going to, they got a cruise from New Orleans, February 7th through the 14th. We're going to do some pre-cruise stuff in NOLA, so stay tuned. We're going to have information about that. What else? Then I go back to San Diego. And then I got a couple other ones that I'm not ready to share yet. Who's coming on the cruise, by the way? So, first of all, who's coming to Momentum? I see Julie, Jason is coming. A few other guys are coming. Crystal is coming to Momentum. A lot of good. It's a crazier time than normal for me. But it's cool. Like I feed off of. I don't feed off the stress, but it fuels my fire having all these things going on. So we've got, again, Momentum. Japan is going to be crazy. I don't know if Martin is still awake or here. I'm looking forward to eating I'm going to be like Godzilla when I get to Japan. I just call the ocean, order more tuna, because Japan, I'm coming for you. I have so many Japanese words that I want to say that are just, the only words I know in Japanese are karate and food-related stuff. And maybe hello and goodbye, which is sort of like the same thing. I'm going to get a little dictionary, but it's all Instagram. It's all food stuff. I'm sorry. I just saw Erin says, I love your Instagram. Thank you, Erin. I appreciate it. I'm at Lou Mangello on the Instagram. So, all right. I think that is going to do it, because now that I've started talking about all these things and looking at my to-do list and the pile of papers and things there, I've got so much time and so little to do. Strike that, reverse it. Thank you again, Chris Eliopoulos. Again, you can find the I Am Walt Disney book, as well as all of the other Ordinary People Change the World series of books on Amazon.com. You don't need to be a 9-year-old to read it and enjoy it. They're neat and they're fun. And again, Chris and Brad do amazing things. Again, go check out herewiththemagic.com. Whoops. Oh, hold on. There we go. Go check out herewiththemagic.com and what Jason is doing over there, and subscribe to his stuff everywhere, and the Castle Runner and thecastlerun.com, and Kenneth Johnson. Again, he has no website. It's just Kenneth Johnson. If you dig show 566 this week, do me a favor, like it. More importantly, share it. Tag somebody in the comments and let me know what your must-dos must be. And, of course, none of this would be possible. I mean, some of this would be possible. Most of it would be possible. Pretty much. Thank you very much. I kid because I care. Becky Mankin and the entire team over at MEI and MouseFanTravel.com. And I look forward to hopefully seeing and meeting some of you guys this weekend at the Indie Disney Meet. If you can't be there in person, don't sweat it, because I'll be live on Saturday, probably starting about 12, 1 o'clock or so at WDWRadioLive.com. So that's going to do it. I dig you. I love you. I appreciate you so very, very much. So until next time, don't forget, if you are not a member of the Box People group, please go ahead and join and invite a friend. And huge thanks to all of you who are part of our WDW Radio Nation family. You guys do an amazing job of not just helping to support the show, but I love being able to do stuff for you and with you. Our next group call is coming up soon. I've got some cool stuff coming in the next care package coming from Walt Disney World. And all I ask that you do is please keep being awesome and invite your friends to be part of the community and conversation. So until next time, thanks again. See ya.